Hello, hello. Welcome to Dev TV, and this is the How To series. And this series basically talks about how to become a good economic development professional. And these are points that we have gathered throughout interviews with various professionals, well accomplished professionals within economic developments in economic development sector. So what I thought I'll do is basically list out the things that makes a good economic development professional. And this hopefully will help a lot of us that are struggling or that are in economic development or are aiming to come into economic development. So we have this how to series to go through all of the things that we in economic development do and how we do them, how we can do them better. And these are ideas that were generated through interviews and discussions with various professionals. So, how to become a good economic professional? The first thing is expertise is secondary to the right attitude. Now, in this case, what we're talking about really is that really you can be an expert in any particular sector, be it agriculture, be it processing, be it manufacturing. That in itself does not make you a good economic development professional. What it does is gives you a level of expertise, a tiny bit of credibility, but really the most important is the attitude that you bring to economic development, because economic development is centers around helping and making changes, effectively guiding people through behavioral change. And if you're going to guide people through behavioral change, you can't come with a dictatorial attitude because you have some level of expertise. Now, the first thing is that you have to really fully understand that you do not know. You know absolutely nothing, because you can have expertise in how to produce a particular widget, or how to increase productivity, or how to access finance. The first thing that you must do is to learn from the people that you're supposed to help or that you want to help. The context of these people is essentially guide your expertise. It's good to have a level of expertise, but really, expertise means nothing if it's not applied correctly to the context of the people that you're trying to use your expertise to help. The next thing up from here is the attitude that we always have in economic development, which is that we come from a position that we are helping people. You're not helping anybody. You are there not because you're helping, because you are a professional and you need to deliver a job that has been given to you. So these people that you're going out to work with, you're not doing them a favor. As a matter of fact, what you are is an inconvenience to their daily operation, to their daily survival operation. So what you really need to bear in mind is that you, as an economic development professional, need to humble yourself and realize that you're interrupting these people's day. So therefore, you must be a bit more accommodating, respectful, and realize that they are doing you a favor. You are not doing them a favor. So I'm rushing through this because really it is important to make sure that we get the message within the time. The other thing that is really important is to listen. Listen, learn, and leverage. What does that mean? So if you are a good professional, what you would do is to leverage people's context, right? Leverage your experience, leverage people's context and expertise and suggestions. So they would tell you things. It may not be in the way that you will put them as a professional or as an expert. But what you ought to do is really listen to what they're saying to you. Listen to some of the things that the language they use that may trigger a behavioral change. That's where the clue lies. So in some of the words they use, things that they focus on, things that they talk about, these are the important things. Talk less, listen more, and leverage on what you've heard, because what you've heard will effectively design your intervention for you, an entry point for you, the effective things that you need to do to make sure that you achieve your primary objective. So that's particularly important. It's important that you listen, learn, and leverage what you've heard. Now we're moving to the second element of this, clarity. So in order for you to be a good economic development professional, you have to be clear. You have to have absolute clarity in the value proposition that your project is providing to your beneficiaries. So when we think about value proposition, or when we think about our job, the job is not just achieving the objective of poverty reduction, but what is the value that you are providing as a project to the life or to the person that you're supposed to be selling an intervention or behavioral change to? What is specifically that behavioral change, and what problem does it solve? You have to be very clear about that. Please, this is not to say we should limit things to affordability, access, availability, and all of those standard things that we use as a way of entry into the constraints and the root causes. But really, you have to be able to isolate the value that your project is bringing to your beneficiaries and your partners. It is only then that you can really begin to communicate with your beneficiaries and partners. But how then do we establish this value proposition? Well, first of all, you outline your objective, right? Now that you know what your objectives are, what you then begin to do is to break those objectives down, have a conversation to validate your objective with your beneficiaries and partners, to just make sure this here is a useful, is a valuable thing for your beneficiaries and partners. Because from discussing with them, from really leveraging what you've heard, that would show you where your value proposition will most likely be more effective. So this is amazingly important, and some of these issues that we're discussing here we'll pull out in a separate series to make it a bit more detailed in our discussion. Right, you as a development professional, what is your value proposition to the project? So yes, you've been employed as a market manager or intervention manager or director of operations or director of or portfolio of interventions. What is your value proposition? What value really? You have to be clear what value you bring to the project. Is it that you have an expertise and you have the right attitude to solve a particular issue for the project? It's not necessarily the role that you've been employed to deliver. It is the value that you bring to the project and how that will help the project achieve its primary objective, which is what the client wants you to do. So these are things that you really have to think about in order for you to become a good professional. Relationships. You have to have clarity about the sort of relationships that you have with your partner, with your team, your beneficiaries. These relationships can really create either a roadblock for you to achieve your primary objective, or they can open up doors to so many opportunities for you. If you have the right attitude and you have clarity in terms of the relationship that you have with your team, your partners, your beneficiaries, what it does mean is that you'll be able to harness all the creativity of all of this group. You'll be able to bring all of that together and achieve the primary objective of your project. So these are some of the things that you really need to think about fully to become a really good economic development professional. Creativity in participation. Some of the things that we like to do as development professionals to pose as intellectuals, we like to show that we know what we're doing. We're experts in our field. That in itself is completely irrelevant. What is relevant is the creativity that you bring to the context of the issue that you're dealing with. And you know what? The more people that you allow to participate in creating a solution, in really defining and refining your ideas, the more people that you bring into it, the likeliness that you'll be closer to a particular key to unlocking the solutions that you are trying to achieve. So it's important as an economic development professional to get as many people as possible involved in your design, in your refining, and your implementation of your intervention. So, next, work for your money. Don't buy results. Now, this relates to the approach that people normally take in economic development. So they go to beneficiaries rather than actually really try to understand the context and listen and work with exactly what will trigger interest from these partners and beneficiaries. What we do is to offer support. We'll go to a place and say, well, we have this support to offer you, we have this grants to give you, we have all of those things that we can give you. So really, in order for you to get these things, you have to behave in this certain way. That doesn't convince anybody. All it does is just you're buying the result. You're not doing the work that you're supposed to do. The work you're supposed to do is to facilitate, is to really work on how to get people across the table to become your partner, to begin to think in terms of the behavioral change that you're trying to establish. So you need to work. And the only way, and this is not an easy process, by the way, it is not easy to go and cold call on somebody and trying to convince them to work with you. But the funny thing is, you have the credibility of your project, you have the credibility of the donor to ride on. Use that credibility to get access. But when you do get access, don't buy the result, don't buy their participation. Really engage in proper discussion and facilitate behavioral change. Don't buy results. So the next thing here is, it's a continuation of what I just spoke about. Facilitation requires effort. So earn your fees. You're being paid incredible fees, so you need to earn it. You need to earn it. It's going to take some time, so it's not going to be one of those quick fixes. Behavioral change doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly does not happen by you just going there and showing things. If you buy the result, all you're doing is creating dependency, creating laziness. And what happens is that for every time you engage and every time you want your partners or beneficiaries to behave in a certain way, you have to buy it. You have to offer them something for them to behave in certain ways. And I've seen this so many times in so many projects across different projects in different countries. We take the shortcut because it's just easier to do. And we think that's what the donor wants. Donor doesn't want that. Donor is paying for results, effective result. And the beneficiaries are paying with their time and attention. So really, try as hard as possible to actually think about the work that you do and not just offering support and pretend that you've achieved something. If I have my way, everybody in economic development will do an M&E course. Measure again, revise, and measure yet again. This is important. There is nothing more important than really, as they say, you can't manage what you don't measure. So we sit back, and even with our partners, we put down a logic. We put down logic and how it progresses from activities straight to impact level. And the way this logic is validated is by all of the principles that's outlined by the M&E. And we really need to use that. That is an incredible tool because it really helps you to pick up things and discover things before it gets too late. You are able to really pivot in the way you approach your particular constraints and root causes that you design an intervention to resolve. You, as you move around, you're really beginning to see, okay, is this working or is this not working? That's if you use the M&E tool. It's an amazing tool. It really is. It's the, for me, it's the most important tool that every implementing professional should have. You really should have a full understanding of how that works. That's not to say you need to go and do M&E, but you need to have the appreciation for indicators, how you progress through your logic and what it means for your logic. So because at every time when you go and engage with people, you are able to see what direction your intervention is going. And if it's going in the right direction, then you can really course correct or stay on the course. So that's essentially what this is about. And it's important that we, as economic development professionals, understand that M&E is not a separate department from implementers. We need to use M&E to do our work a lot better. And the beautiful thing about this is that you have M&E professionals that are very good at, skilled at showing you the logic, challenging your logic, and helping you validate your logic. It's amazing. Use it. To become a good economic development professional, you must understand M&E. You must use M&E. Keep learning. You have to keep learning. The essence of your work, what makes you a professional, what makes you a good economic development professional, is not for you to feel that all of the experiences that you've had must be replicated at every opportunity you have them. No, things are changing all the time. Things are changing all the time. Technology is changing. Attitudes are changing. Tastes are changing. So everything is dynamic. So you have to be dynamic. You have to learn. You have to keep learning. Learning new things, learning new skills. There's something that people call human-centered design. Human-centered design apparently puts the user in the middle of the design of the product or service. Do the same. Put yourself as a user and really begin to design knowledge acquisition as part of your development. This is, man, this is so important. Forget the theories. Yeah, so don't think that, oh, yes, I studied development and I have gone to study market systems development. I've attended a training. So therefore, I'm an expert. So therefore, I have to follow all of the processes that these approaches have laid out. The approaches are there as a guideline, as a guide for you to implement your context-driven intervention. They are not a straight jacket. They're there to guide your work. You do not have to look through the manual and make sure that everything in the manual is what you have in your intervention. No, it's a guide. And for people that think these are not a workable solution, that this incredible market systems approach that has been designed, that's because you have wrong interpretation of what it is. It's a guideline. You know what I mean? You as an economic development professional must fully understand the basis in which you work. And in order for you to have a good basis to work from, you have to learn a certain level of skill. And that's what your degree and this courses that you attend, that's what they offer you. The most important is how you apply them. Don't be limited by what has been written, what you have learned. You have to bring in creativity of people. You have to allow people to participate. You have to allow team contribution to your solution, and sense check at all levels, strategic level, tactical level, operational level. You have to sense check your logic. And that means you have to have a learning attitude to what you do. So these are really key for you to become an economic development professional, a good one at that. There's a lot of us running around and really we have the wrong attitude. We're not clear about exactly what it is that we're doing. And most of all, we believe that we're experts that need to instruct and prescribe solution. That is not a good attitude. And the last thing I would like to talk about is that keep calm. Keep calm and count your successes. If you've come into the economic development world and you're here to learn, you come with the right attitude, open your mind to possibilities, invite people to participate, respect your partners and respect your beneficiaries. Do not be dictatorial. Do not be prescriptive. Don't think that you know. Do not apply what you have done that was successful years ago. Don't think that will be successful this time round. You need to sense check it. Use the tools that are available to you. The M&E, amazing tool. Measure, 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 measure again. And that you will achieve some major successes. As you progress through the logic frame, if you move from an intervention and you actually get something as an output, and it's close to what you have designed, that's a major success. So keep calm and count your successes. These are my ideas of things that you need to know to become a really competent economic development professional. We will take each of these things and begin to blow them up and discuss it with people on Dev TV. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've gained something out of this. And see you when we begin to discuss each of them. Bye-bye.